And hello everyone, and welcome back to ESS Summer Online. We are raising money for Alzheimer Fonden. Links to donate can be found below the stream. We would also like to thank Kaspersky, Twitch, and ViewSonic for sponsoring this event. So before I go and introduce our lovely runner here and commentator, we actually do have a donation that I would like to read. This is a $10 donation from 01 Garland 01 saying, "Can't wait for Rocket Knight Adventures. Good luck, Drakodan, and sub 28 hype." And indeed, I wish you all the good luck. Now I'll pass it over to you, and well, I wish you good luck.
This individual has good taste. Thank you very much. And yeah, so this is going to be Rocket Knight Adventures. I am Drakodan, as mentioned, and with me on co-commentary we have
Dagger.
There he is. Hey. The guy who's way better at this game, and I feel like a bit of an imposter up here right now, but we'll do what we can. We'll make it work.
Just beat even that's probably a tall order, but I was gonna say just beat my SGDQ run.
I mean,
that
I'll
wasn't
try.
sub 28.
Well, you know how this game can be, so like I say,
yeah,
I will try to do my best, but no promises.
It's a very intimidating speed run. Especially when you watch it and how fast you go.
Yeah, for sure. But, yep, we're ready to begin. So, if you would like to count me down, I'm ready to start whenever.
Me?
Or was it Pika who was going to do that, I believe?
Alright. Yeah, in that case, I shall do the countdown.
Okay.
In that case, you can start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay.
Good luck.
And I managed to time that correctly because the title screen doesn't stay active for very long before going to a demo. So good, we're in the run. Started correctly. So yeah, Rocket Knight Adventures. As the name sort of suggests, this is a game where you rocket boost quite a lot for your basic movement. And the rocket boost and the attacking function are on the same key, so I'm going to be doing a lot of holding my boost to charge and move forward a lot. And even though what I'm doing right here, possum hopping as we call it to maintain momentum, is by far the fastest way you can move in this game, there aren't too many opportunities where you can exploit it because a lot of this game is not really flat side-to-side movement as you're seeing here. Like, this is one of the main opportunities we get to use it, and a lot of the movement in this game is concerned with navigating hallways and puzzle-based rooms, as you're going to be seeing quite a bit more throughout the rest of the run. It's also a very combat-heavy game, where there's lots of mini-boss fights, lots of enemy waves, and just lots of boss fights in general. And there's two main ways that combat works in this game, in regards to how enemy health works. You've got fights where you simply need to deal a certain number of hits to an enemy, which that mini-boss was, and then you have different fights or phases where they're instead HP-based, and you need to deal a specific amount of damage. And the damage values in this game can vary wildly depending on what you're using to deal damage to enemies. Your basic sword swipe is actually the best way to deal consistent heavy damage to enemies, as it deals damage for every frame of contact you have with an enemy, as well as the sword shooting out a projectile which does another high base amount of damage. And then you also have the rocket boosts you can use, which actually don't deal uniform damage. If you boost diagonally into an enemy, that actually deals less damage than if you boost orthogonally into them, or into a cardinal direction. So if I'm going to boost into an enemy, I want to do it up, down, left or right, rather than diagonal if I can help it. So, another little spot where I can try to use some possum hopping there, but it's a little difficult to manage that. And can I cheat this out? A little bit. Alright, that was a little bit of a funky boost that I did there, where I actually ricocheted off the floor there. What I did there was I jumped, and then I boosted diagonally into the floor to ricochet me in a specific way. That's one of the interesting things about running this game, is that there is so much improvisation possible with whatever the current game state is, and just finding little weird ways to exploit the boosting mechanic. And then this room coming up here is going to be some more ricocheting off walls to get up, and where am I? Okay, here. So this room's pretty dangerous. I'm going to hopefully not take a death to that enemy. Okay, good. Just holding my attack so that I had a projectile attack ready to use whilst still charging the rocket boost. And my health is pretty low here. This is actually a good thing. One of the main elements of optimizing this game is health management. I'm going to let Dagran explain that as I do this boss.
Health management? Yeah, you kind of just want to trickle down the health as you approach a boss fight, so that when you finish a stage, you finish with the lowest amount of health as possible.
Okay, still got the quick health, thankfully.
And, yeah, the reason why we want to do that is because it will actually tally the total health, and, yeah, it will deplete the health bar and then refill it back up. So the lower your health is at the end of a level, the faster it will clear up the this result screen right here.
Yeah. So we're pretty much going through all the stages. In certain spots, damage boosting in specific ways, or alternatively, there are some boss fights where it is a little more consistent and safe to just save health so that we can damage boost a lot on the boss. It's basically either we're going to enter bosses with very little health and not take damage, or enter with a specific amount of health so we can damage boost in specific ways on the boss fights. So the mini-boss coming up here has a very difficult quick kill, which again I'm going to let Dagran explain so I can focus on executing this.
Yeah, so this fight, there's like two different sides of this waterfall you can be on. We want to start on the back side here, and we want to rocket boost into the back side here, and then kind of abuse iframes to get a whole bunch of sword slashes on the weak point, which is the very end tail of that snake there.
2 extra boosts wasn't too bad, but it's a bit of a disappointment to miss the quick kill, but that is a strat that is much, much harder than it appears. Like, seriously, it's very, very hard to get that.
Yeah, it's one of the harder parts of the run to execute properly.
Alright. I'm lying. I was going to say first auto-scroller section, but this is technically the third auto-scroller section of the run, and I just talked entirely through the first two, so yeah, like I promise there's downtime in this game, but whether I'm going to shut up, that remains to be seen. But yeah, not too much to speak about here. We've got minecarts, there's enemies that appear at scripted spots, there's going to be some little bits of tricky boosting I can do between minecart transitions, and aside from that, there's not too much going on here. If there's any donations, now is a perfect time to read them out.
Alright, sounds awesome. We actually have a $10 donation from Domon Cashew saying, thanks to all the staff and runners for another week of great runs. So thank you so much for $10 donations, Domon. And we have another $50 donation from Pikeplu. I hope I did not butcher your name, I apologize in advance if I did. Without a comment. But I can see that this particular donation went towards the Mega Man Wily War incentive, or rather bid war, excuse me. And indeed, I would like to remind that this particular bid war will be closing quite soon, so definitely get those donations in for that. If you want to check the status of that particular bid war, you can type !bids in the chat, and you should see at the bottom of the page that said bid war. And outside of that, there is also, of course, the big incentive left, which is the bonus Super Mario 64 16-star run. So definitely, there's still a lot, but we can reach it, because I know you all are amazing people. So thank you for your donations, and let's go.
Alright,
let's go.
We're in a boss. And first phase is done already, second phase is about to be done. That was a really, really quick phase too, I'm not going to lie. So for phase 3 here, I need to go all the way to the right and face left so that I don't get pushed back. Time when to move to the right, and now I'm going to abuse how much damage the sword swipe does, stand in the guy's hitbox to just wail on him a lot. Finish with half a heart. That is an example of what optimal health management looks like, and yes, it's a little risky, but if you just keep up damage fast enough, it's pretty consistent to get that.
The sword swing is just that strong.
Yep. And some very tricky movement here at the start of stage 3 with possum hopping and an instant death hazard throughout the screen. The red lava that's rising and falling, it instantly kills me if I touch it, so let's try and do this. Also, because of the foreground, I can't see what I'm doing most of the time.
Yeah. So on top of him doing a lot of these rocket boosts blind, yeah, you touch it once, you're dead. Of course, if you are rocket boosting, you can slide on it, but once you break out of that slide, then you just die instantly.
I'm taken to believe that as per the TAS, you actually have a single frame after exiting a rocket boost where you can jump on a hazardous surface, but it's frame perfect, I believe, so in other words, it's not consistent. And it will just get you killed in RTA.
Okay, in other words, not worth the risk.
So this is a really weird mini-boss, where this is another fight where I have to deal a certain number of hits, but the number of hits can be influenced by the claws that are alive. By destroying the claw on the right there, it massively reduces the number of hits I need to inflict to kill this mini-boss. And then we just line up in a specific position and hit the head with projectiles, which is actually very narrow, but still did a decent enough job there, and it's over relatively quickly. So this is the last screen in this stage before the boss. It's going to be another opportunity to try for health management. So my health is at a bit of a weird value here. I'm just going to take another little couple of generic hits here to drain my health. Since everything in the game does pretty predictable damage, there are certain spots or enemies you can hit to take specific amounts of damage. But the health bar itself is not always entirely uniform or predictable. Your health is a numerical value, but the way that it divides and displays on the health bar isn't always the same. It can basically subdivide so that sometimes you appear to take half a heart, sometimes you'll take a full heart, just based on the way the division can work on certain damage sources. So it can be a little weird, and sometimes you just need to take it conservatively to make sure you don't take a hit that ends up killing you when you think you'd survive it. And here I'm going to pick up one health pickup here and damage boost to set up for a one cycle kill, hopefully. No problem, there we go. Stage 3 boss done, and relatively low health again. So optimally I'd have half a heart here, but one heart is still perfectly fine.
It's taking advantage of those iframes there.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing that's very generous in this game. When you take damage, you have a lot of iframes, and just the fact that you are dealing damage to enemies as well can offer you some sort of limited protection, which is very helpful as well. Now, stage 4 I absolutely despise. I'm just not going to talk during this stage, and I'm just going to focus, so Dagran, take the wheel.
Okay, so this stage is really hard. It starts with a pretty annoying fight here, where you gotta really time your hits just right, because the thing with this boss, this mini boss here, is every time he takes a hit, he's always gonna throw a projectile in return, but it's random how many he throws out.
Yeah, that guy sucks. That was a bad fight.
So if you can sort of manipulate a sort of chain, but it's still. You still have to be able to knock the projectile into him to keep that chain
that counts,
going.
I think. Oh, I can't believe that didn't count. This game's rigged. This game is rigged, dude.
Yeah, so there's wind kind of pushing at him here, and anytime he takes a hit to any sort of barrel, it just knocks him back.
Yeah. And now I'm in this kind of situation, which is just awful. One of the things that I didn't mention is that this game does consider when you're entering a new screen if you have the action button held down or not. If you don't, then you will actually do a sword swipe before you start moving, and on normal screens that just delays your movement slightly. On this screen, with the wind pushing you, it pushes you back pretty significantly and actually really affects the routing for the screen, which I forgot to account for because I wasn't expecting to take a death there, but oh well.
Yeah. So this mini boss is difficult. It's very the optimal strats for that is very, very scary to pull off. You have to drop down and then side boost. But if you don't properly side boost into him or you miss him, you're falling to your death. There's no two ways about it.
As well as the movement on the platforms directly after the boss, which, again, optimal method is very, very difficult. I did not go for it because it's only about half a second slower to not do it, and it's a lot easier. It's one of the things that Vorpal has commented on recently, saying, Draco, just don't do that, just learn better stage 1 movement and don't do the stupid stuff on stage 4. And it's like, yeah, I know you're right, but I'm really reckless apparently. So I decided to not do it for this marathon run. Another boss fight. Okay, I can actually take one more. What? Alright, the one time that I wanted to do bad damage, have a slow fight so I could damage boost once more, and instead I do really good damage and kill him too quickly. Like, that's not allowed. This is, I ban it.
Yeah, there's a lot of lag that happens right when that big robot dies. So it's actually very easy to drop an input.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's easy for the game to drop an input there.
And if you already have minimum health, that can very easily result in the enemy just running straight into you and killing you. And then you have to do the whole boss fight again.
So do you love auto-scrollers?
Sorry?
Do you love auto-scrollers? Because I think if you like auto-scrollers, this stage is for you right here.
Yep. Pretty much the only thing I have to say about this stage in general is there's very little health management to be done. Something that is... Oh, nice. I kind of got the thing that happened to you in your PB. That's good. One of the things that this game is known for within the speedrunning community, I would say, is that if you play on hard mode, it is very, very hard, because everything kills you in one hit. And the ironic thing is that aside from this auto-scroller to start off this stage, the stage is pretty identical between easy and hard mode, because once I get into the castle, everything kills me in one hit anyway, even on easy difficulty. So whatever health I end up with once I'm through this auto-scroller, that's the health I've got for the remainder of the stage, and I can't do anything about it, aside from the boss fight, which I can do some limited damage boosting on. But aside from that, there's not too much going on, so any more donations, again, now is a really good time for them.
Well, I would like to remind everyone that all of the donations made throughout ESS Summer Online will be going towards Alzheimerfonden, which is the Swedish national fundraising organization focusing on Alzheimer's disease and other dementia-related diseases. So definitely, it's an awesome cause to donate for, and you can help make a positive impact with your donations. And likewise, remember, as I was saying earlier, there are still a few bid wars and incentives you can donate that money towards. This includes, as I mentioned earlier, for Mega Man Wily Wars, the weapon choice bid war, which will close fairly soon, so you definitely want to get those donations in for that quite soon. Right now at the top is Top Spin with $110. That is currently the top choice. And so if you can, as I said earlier, if you type !bids, you can see all the next choices that are available. And likewise, there is also the bonus run, also that you can donate for Super Mario 64 16 Star, which is definitely an awesome run, so you definitely want also to check that out. So definitely get those donations in, because that means you are awesome if you do it, and you are breathtaking.
So,
auto-scrollers are still going on. Dagron wasn't joking when he said this is an auto-scroller heavy state, and it's going to go on for like another minute. It's like, wow. But then we get a really intense boss fight.
Those spiky pigs clad in armor, they kill you in one hit. Getting crushed kills you in one hit. These spikes, these colorful spikes here, they kill you in one hit too.
Yep. And then Axel's huge mech during the boss fight kills you in one hit if you get caught by it.
Yeah, so there's this platform here. You just gotta hit the button on the corresponding side to either stop the elevator going up or down. You hit that side again, you go that direction. Now, I don't know if Draco's going to try to do the fast...
The super optimal? No, it's suicide.
The super optimal. Okay.
It's suicide to go for the super optimal one.
All right. Oh, that was actually what I was thinking you were going to go for.
No, the super optimal one is when you don't make it start going up again before you do that.
Oh. Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if I actually go for that myself.
Yeah, it's not. I did it in my previous PB. I have no idea why, because like I said, it's basically suicide to attempt it. It's possible, but it is beyond risky, and it only saves, like, however many frames. And it instantly kills you if you get it wrong. Anyway, okay, this fight is... Oof, let's give it a go.
Rock'em, sock'em robots.
I'm bodying him. We're going in. I'm bodying him. We're going in. That was about as good as that fight can possibly go.
Wow.
Wow. So, beyond the first 3 hits of the fight, like, for the first 3 hits, he basically just lets you get them in for free, and then he fights back pretty hard. And getting dual exchanges like that, or hitting him before he hits you, is very, very difficult. It's not even entirely consistent, just because of the way your mech moves, and the way that it can be in its movement cycle can interfere with your ability to get hit. So that was both good, and that was lucky as well, I think. Oh, by the way, more auto-scroller.
More auto-scroller. This one's actually pretty tricky to do, because everything's all clearing out the waves, grabbing the items dropped by said waves. And sometimes I swear with these auto-scrollers, there's a bit of luck involved with when the next transition, when the next part's gonna start. It's
generally based on when all the objects of a previous wave are off screen, so sometimes it can give the illusion of stuff not starting, because like with those apples for instance, if I'd grabbed the bottom ones, the next wave would have started a little sooner, because the objects just get off screen a bit faster. It's why I actually prefer to get enemies instead of health pickups, because they're generally easier to clear. Like that. So since I destroyed the enemy heads before they went off screen, this wave started a little sooner than it otherwise would have.
Here's Axel again. Won't be the last time we see him either.
Okay, so I'm gonna either get enemies or health here again. Health, okay. I missed a lot of it, but this boss is very strange in that health management is, there's not really a consistent method for it. You kind of just have to go with what you have. I've currently got 5.5 hearts, which means I'm probably going to go for a very minor damage boost in the first phase where I can damage him, a very heavy damage boost in the second phase, and then try to not take any damage in the third phase. But I'm going to, like, depending on what happens, if I accidentally take a hit I didn't mean to, I'm going to have to change my plan. You kind of just have to take whatever you have in this fight. So he teleports around for a bit. Then after the next teleport, it's going to be the first phase where I can damage him, so I'm going to bait him into firing one shot at me, which I can damage boost on. Okay, now second phase. Oh, die! Okay. Okay, he's not too low to hit. That is about the best place he can end up in that case. Because you want the main body to be as low to the bottom of the screen as you can, since it then takes less time to exit the screen. And now for the third phase, this takes a while and I've got to do a lot of evasion. I don't have much health left, I'm not going to risk taking any hits here. It's possible that if I get hit by an orange projectile it will only do half a heart. I don't want to take the risk. So I'm just going to attempt to do this entire last phase completely damageless. And you've just got to do some evasion to avoid the projectiles and then hit the orange ball that comes out as he's bouncing it around. You've got to do this 4 times.
Yeah, and sometimes the orange bullets can do a full heart of damage. It does depend on, I guess it sort of changes.
It's the division again. This is an example of the way that the screen displays health. It doesn't naturally divide the damage equally all the time. And this boss has no checkpoints, by the way. So if I die here, it is back to the very start of the fight. So I've just got to do one more phase of evasion. And yes, this top left corner is completely safe to avoid the boss as he's flailing around like that.
Yeah, and that's because every time he's like the attack pattern he does before, where he actually opens up the weak point, he always lodges himself at the low corner there.
I don't know if you saw that, but I almost choked there. I almost choked avoiding the orange balls. I was stressful.
Yeah. Stressful indeed.
And speaking of stress, speaking of stress, we're going into the last stage, which is, in my opinion, this is the hardest stage in the run. It definitely has the hardest strat in the run when we get into the fight against Axel Gear, which is the second mini-boss of the stage. The first phase strat of that is extremely difficult, and I'm just, again, going to let Dagran take care of commentary here.
Yeah, and not only do you have to deal with Axel, there is Emperor Devilgus here. He's no slouch either. Like, he's very tough too. And depending on your outing, well, I mean, obviously you want to take the banana that's going to follow after finishing him off.
Because I more or less need as much health as I can get here. So the deal with this mini-boss is that I can manipulate his AI by facing away from him when he is going to damage me. And I can exploit the fact that my sword animation has a backswing, which is out for a couple of frames, to be able to stand next to him and deal damage to him as he exits his iframes. It's about a 2-frame window per hit, and he moves left by 1 pixel every time I damage him, so I'm repositioning frequently.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult fight. So let's see how he does here. Each of these are a 2-frame window.
Oh, I turned towards him! That's bad.
Yeah, and then if you face towards him, he starts running the other, or jumping the other direction. It's pretty awful. But like I said, it's a 2-frame window. That's good enough. Third frame. There is a third frame, but that third frame is only going to lead to a clash of swords.
I need an audio cue here. I just missed with that projectile hit, but okay, still got him there. If that extra projectile connected, he would have died before he flew around again. Now I need to time when to boost right here. And hopefully he's going to fly into me and just let me sword swipe him to death for phase 3. Yep. Alright, 1 heart going into the rest of the game. Entering Hell Room, as we call it. I'm probably going to make a movement mistake and die, but there is a checkpoint in Hell Room for if/when I die here. So let's see.
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah, I always mess that up.
I'm
not going to mess it up now. I'm not going to mess it up now. Yeah, see, like, when I've already died, now that I've got max health, I don't mess that up. But when I'm 1 hit from death, I always mess it up. Like, that always happens. It's stupid.
Yeah, that room is aptly named. It's a really scary room. Like, even after getting past the Axel Gear fight, which is already a ridiculous fight, you have to be able to survive that room in actual attempts too. The stage really is that brutal of a stage. It's very fitting for a last level.
Yep. What isn't particularly fitting, though, is this final boss fight. Like, in my opinion, this is a pretty underwhelming fight compared to the bosses we've had so far in the game. Like, this is... It's easy. This is probably the easiest boss in the game, I'd say. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. There is, of course, a bit of trolliness that can happen, in particular with that first phase there.
Yeah.
Like, you can choose from 3 different locations, and your rocket boost can't cover all the places. So if he chooses the wrong spot, that's gonna cause some problems. Yep. Some time lost to be expected.
In this phase, the weak point is generated at a specific point in time, so I'm just trying to be on the opposite side from where it will be at specific points. And now we can exploit a nice little feature here where if you boost into something that you can't really interact with, a solid object, you'll ricochet away from it. In this instance, you'll ricochet straight through his body, and once you've performed a rocket boost, you are actually completely invulnerable from taking damage until you land on the ground. So during the rocket boost, and during the ricochet, and then during the helpless animation, until you land on the ground, you take 0 damage from all attacks. So it's actually completely safe to do that.
Which makes this current phase here, final phase actually, really easy.
Yep, and that is pretty much it. That is the last boss. There's just a couple of corridors more of movement and then a final auto-scroller, but that is basically the run at this point. Like, I would need to try very hard to take a death at this point. Like, if I tried to do this last section blindfolded, there's a reasonable chance that I could die from not being able to see anything, but aside from that, it's like, you wouldn't die on this section. I wouldn't really expect even a first-time runner to be dying on this boss that much.
So in that case, would now be a good time to read donations? Or
yes, please.
Alright, awesome. We have $20 from Anonymous saying, "My favorite speed game, and on my birthday, no less. It's a great day. Good luck, Drakodan." And then we also have a $5 donation from Unphobic saying, "Hey Draco, I wish you the best with your run." when do you think that Sega will make that Sonic the Hedgehog / Rocket Knight crossover happen?
That would be a very, very fast game. And thank you very much, Umphobic.
Definitely very interesting question. And also, we're now past 41.5k. So congratulations, everyone. And of course, now the question is, when do we reach 42k? Let's get to it, everyone. You're all awesome.
Alright, so the background's probably about to turn red here, which means the end of the run is coming up here. So it's on the fade to white. That's when time ends.
Yeah, there's going to be like one more charging towards me cycle. He's going to try one last time to hit me as he's disintegrating, and then when the screen fades to white, that is time. Oh no, he's going to get me. Except he doesn't actually have a hitbox. You can be anywhere and he doesn't damage you. But it looks really intimidating. And... time.
Congrats.
I'm seeing that looks like a 28:45 or something. Rubbish. Rubbish. I died in stage 4. Rubbish.
And they got trolled by barrels.
I was almost exactly dead on as well. That was like a 4.5 or a 4.6 something. We need to retime it. But yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks for letting me run the event, help raise money for such a great cause. Thanks to everyone who's been donating. Please do keep it up, and I believe we do indeed have Mega Man Wily Wars coming up by Joker, I believe. Very cool game, very cool runner. Please do stick around.
Indeed, pretty much. Yeah, up next we've got Mega Man coming up. So first off, thank you so much for the run. That was great. So it's amazing we've managed to reach that milestone. So indeed, as was just said now, up next we've got Mega Man All Stages. So definitely get hyped for that. That will be right after a short intermission. And also, I will be done with donation reading, and I will be passing the torch over to the very competent Stacy. So indeed, I was very happy about that. So thank you to ESA for letting me that opportunity. So indeed, thank you all, and see you all after this short intermission.